Forest Reserve Act was passed, and that's when the Forest Service was created. BLM wasn't really created till 1947 with the passage of the Taylor Grazing Act. And then when was Canyon Ferry put in? When was the 49. So then that would have affected Bureau of Reclamation land. So the reason that matters is because prior to the Taylor Grazing Act and the establishment of BLM, that land that became BLM was basically public domain, almost like basically open grazing. What they did is the BLM grazing allotments and management units that were established at that time, they looked at historically who was using the land, who was grazing the land, and then you went in and proved up, hey, I've been grazing this land for 20 years and this many animals, whatever. And then if there was competition, they had to settle those, but a lot of times that's how people got BLM leases coming out of that reorganization.
But but this land was homesteaded and patented.
Right.
Ground.
I'm talking about
okay.
the parts that weren't.
Okay.
So the whole point of that was to encourage homesteading, right? So it's open, it's public domain land, and people are being encouraged to do whether it's mining claims, homesteads, whatever. So the purpose of county roads at that time was not to get an easement across public land. It was to pay for the maintenance and establishment of those roads because they had to be maintained. You had to bring in tons of grading and gravel and everything that went in, drainage issues. So if a county road was established at that time, if you look at all those old records, it was, what they were looking for was a number of people that lived along that road, and they would petition, and then they would do a survey, and they would do an estimate of how much it would cost, and then the county's got to either find a way to pay for that, and then you've got levying property taxes associated with that. So all this is very good historical information, but as I mentioned, there's a couple things that I've found in dealing with other roads that have been really helpful. One is we found some roads that were even as far as 1965 were a county road on our maintenance schedule, and now everyone thinks they're not county roads, and we don't know why. So we're going, well, that's only, however many years ago that was, 60 years. That's at least given us kind of a trail that from that point we can start looking for an abandonment or something like that. So I would suggest let's look and see if there is.
Well, and
county
yeah,
road.
and I don't know you. I don't think I've ever met you in my life, but this is what I do for a living.
Yeah, well, this is really thorough.
I have looked high and low, and there is no abandonment of the Dianthony Road. Yes, the Leffler Road and a portion of the Red Hill Road, and only parts of the Leffler Road were even closed. The petition that closes the Leffler Road clearly indicates that it's only closing the road to a point in section 13 and 14. And from that point on, it doesn't reference any of the road. Well, it's clear that the commissioners and the viewers at the time went to that point. Leffler donated land, which he didn't have a lot of land past that point, but he did have some. But he knew that there were other homesteads behind him. There was a mining property or several mining claims behind him, which is represented by the 30+ claims of Fitzgerald, my patented property now, the Rose Lode, and some other official survey lode. I don't remember what that is, but it's clear to me that they said, hey, and the language of that Leffler petition is quite distinctive in stating that from this point forward as the viewers see fit. And then the viewers go out there and they say, yeah, these property owners of the area need a county road to get their products basically to and from market. And that's what the petition says. I believe that Leffler petition was a wide sweeping petition to supply each and every one of those property owners back their access to their property on a county road. In those days, they didn't make distinct descriptions. And again, the Dianthony description is probably one of the best that I've ever seen in relation to this. They usually just went out there and said, yep, we'll make it from the southwest quarter here across 14, 15, 16, all these sections, and they don't even list the township and range of the sections. They don't say, but this Dianthony Road has clear, distinct boundaries and a point of beginning on a county road and a point of terminating or extending or connecting to the Red Hill Road, which was the road to Middle Ferry. I mean, it's very distinct. So I'm willing to work with your office, Corey. I mean, I obviously, after this meeting, I'll provide you with any bit of this information that you would need. I don't think that's a question of if the county road is in fact a county road because of the historical adoption and all of that. You're more than welcome to research the public records and try to find an abandonment, but it's not there.
Yeah.
And to that point is that I would most certainly think that when Mr. McMaster and his, I want to call them cronies, and no disrespect to his family, or to the Baum family, but when those individuals went in to petition and close the Loeffler Road, it appears to me that there was a little bit of good old boys club going on, because Mr. Baum, and again, no respect to him or his family, but he certified that petition falsely. He falsely certified that there were no other property owners affected by the abandonment, that all the property owners signed the petition, the map showing the affected property. Got copies of this too. If you'd please refer to the map.
So what year was that, Joe?
This was the December 22nd, 1954. And I'm not, one, I guess, definitely at this point challenging this petition. But when an individual states under oath that all affected property owners have been noticed, and as you know, notice is a requirement, and that their properties, the affected properties, are shown on the map attached to the petition, and on that map in the petition, and I currently own property in section 1 in 1954 that was also private property, and it's not shown on that map, I would say something fishy happened there. So, again, at this point, and that's up for the board to decide, I don't believe that petition that closed even the Loeffler roads is worth the paper it's written on because it was falsely certified. It doesn't identify the property, the owners of the Fatigue are not listed as owners, and the Fatigue property itself is not even shown on the map. So it looks like some, again, good old boys politics to me.
Well, I mean, 54, I mean, it'd be pretty hard to unwind that now. I mean, all these folks are dead and it's
Well, the
possible.
property ain't dead, it's not on the map. though,
Well,
sorry.
but to challenge that petition, they would have had it.
Yeah, and that's up for the board and you to decide, that's not why I'm here.
So, but
I'm here to
my
get-
recommendation though is, and this certainly, I'm not saying pro or con, I've never heard of this road.
Mhm.
Never
Sure.
met you, I don't have an opinion over that. What I'm saying is, for them to make a decision, let's go ahead and put all this together. And
I'm
then
more
the
than-
second thing I would say is, we do, and I agree, the BLM, if it's a county road, the BLM can't say, no, it's not a county road. But we need to look at what they've done management-wise over the last however many decades, because if that road is currently closed or slated for whatever under their management plan, number one, it may give us a clue as to if there's something in the record that they know that we don't. Number two, if now we're opening a road and changing a management plan as a result of that, we need to coordinate that with them so that we aren't having people getting tickets for going on a closed BLM road when it's really a county road.
Well, and then they would, again, they wouldn't have any authority under, at any circumstance, to give anybody a petition.
Well, But we have, my point is, if it's been closed for however many years and we want to open it, obviously we've got to coordinate.
Well, and
that.
yeah, and I would recommend that immediately this board order your road foreman to contact the BLM and have them remove their obstructions off your county road, because it is a county
The
road.
purpose of this, as I understand it, is for a subdivision, is that correct?
Well, no, it's not for a subdivision. Primarily, the land was lotted several years ago. Now, my plan, here's what I want to do, gentlemen. Again, this road provides this county an opportunity for access to places on Canyon Ferry Reservoir where there has been no access since the 40s, since the lake was filled. It's a beautiful area along the lake. Your constituents deserve and should be able to access the lake along that point. It was even recommended by the government themselves in 1949 in the documentation that I provided to Nicole. I would like to get the county's permission, again, as we go through this and get this road opened. Well, or at least it's open today, the obstructions are on it. I have the combination to the gate, working with BLM. But my ultimate plan in here is to develop a residential type setting on my private property, get the county's permission to construct a boat ramp, work with the county at getting the road graded, getting the road gravelled. I would share in probably some, maybe most of those expenses. Ultimately, I will lease land from the Bureau of Reclamation and the BLM, and I will put in a full-service marina, long-term. That's where I'm going with this. So it's not only to develop my property, but it's to develop, ultimately, a point on that reservoir that is more attractive, closer to, I guess, Helena than the silos, if you will. A much nicer facility, a better managed facility than the government facilities, and that provides docks, storage, so on and so forth. I will make application to the Bureau of Reclamation in the next couple days for the lease. But again, initially I need to start with this board, realizing the potential, believing in the reality that there is a county road there. It provides adequate access to the lake. The BLM, you know, I've been dealing with those buggers for 12 years. They're not nice people. They have denied me access, my family access, 12 years on a county road. That's a big no-no. That's called a governmental taking. It's unconstitutional. So I have attempted over the last 12 years to work with BLM to get a right-of-way to go through the McMaster's Ranch. They have denied me for 12 years to even have a legal right-of-way through there. They will provide me a variance to the travel plan, but that's like saying if you need a permission slip to leave this office and go home, you have to ask somebody's permission. And that's not American to me. So we have been crashing heads, and Mike Conkey mentioned something about Senator Zinke's office, and I have been working with Senator Zinke in his office, and William Dove of his office, and Catherine McGregor, the undersecretary, for about 6 months, and it's getting there, but that was in lieu of finding out or discovering that I actually have a county road that provides me access to my property. The county has a county road, the public has a county road that provides them access to current government land that the government lets you park at a gate and walk through when there's county roads that go through it. The potential for access to those lands, four-wheeler trails, riding, enjoying our public lands, and boating and recreating on the shores of Canyon Ferry Lake where there was nothing at this point is a huge advantage of this county. So I would respect and and hope that, again, I am willing to work with Corey, and I know that I've already established the county road it's a county road. It hasn't been abandoned. If he needs to research the records, so be it. But I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. I'm on a pretty tight schedule here. I would like to make a recommendation that we get back on the board's agenda at the next meeting, which is what, 10 days, 2 weeks from now? Would that be enough time, Corey, for your office to do the research?
Oh, I mean, I've got about 5 things I'm doing for them, and I've got,
Okay.
I'm literally stacked up
Well,
all week, so.
then I'm going to try the short and
Can I do this? Can
Yeah.
I get a copy of everything?
Oh, absolutely.
Your
Yeah,
record?
I'll clean stuff up here and give you a
Yeah.
correct copy.
And then,
And again, I know that your county attorney is, well, he's a lawyer, so he's being very cautious, but this board has to realize the documentation shows that it's an officially adopted county road. I mean, it's there. So I don't know if we have much more to deliberate. That's up to the board to decide. But the documentation shows that we have a county road.
And my only deal is that I wanna answer the question, the obvious question,
Yeah.
which is if this is a county road, what's been going on the last 100 years? You know what I mean? I mean, that, we need to answer that question, or else you're gonna say it's a county road, someone else is gonna walk in with something saying it's not, we're in the middle of a lawsuit. I'd rather do that research
Yeah,
on
and I
the
can
front
understand
end,
that, yeah.
and we know, we found all the nuggets in the record. I mean, this is like I said, this is an impressive amount of research at this point, it
Mm-hmm.
really is. There's a 100-year gap there, we need to at least do some due diligence to make sure there's nothing in that 100-year gap that we're not aware of.
Well, and I believe you're correct. I think the gap closes in 1954, when again, the bullies of the county in that area falsely certified a petition and basically told them to shut their gates and shut off the existing Dianthony Road, but didn't tell anybody. I mean, it makes no sense that why they would abandon those roads, but not this road. But the most sensible thing is that Mr. McMaster wanted to make sure that he had a county road that he knew about, nobody else did, that led to the lake at Canyon Ferry, because he didn't have an easement across BLM for any other road, and he couldn't get one. But that's being, a little bit conspiracy theorist, but the record clearly indicates that it's there, and I would appreciate then if this board would instruct their county attorney, and I don't know if he directly works for you, but I would like to work with his office, obviously with Nicole, get the research done immediately as far as trying to locate an abandonment and get this matter resolved, because I am currently left without access to my private property, and I don't like that. So, thank you.
I guess I have one more question.
Yeah.
So when you purchased the property, what was the understanding of access at that time, and how did you get that understanding? What did you rely on?
When I
Did you
purchased,
purchase it, or did you get?
no, when I purchased the property, we had known the family that had owned the property for, family friends for 20 plus years. So as a young boy, I would travel in there with my father and other siblings, and we would use basically what is described, portions of the Dianthony Road, I guess, going in there. I always contended from the date that I purchased it, we did a pretty quick purchase, because it was, the family members were ailing and they approached us, asked us if we want to purchase it. We decided to buy it. At that time, we pulled title insurance. The title company indicated that they couldn't find anything on the access, but it's a mining property, that's usually the case. So I didn't at that time, it didn't bother me, because I was aware that the McMaster's Ranch was in this acquisition phase with the Bureau of with the BLM. Prior to the ranch being acquired by BLM, I actually filed a lawsuit in this county against the Conservation Fund in regards to this access. I had some documentation that the Loeffler Road and these other roads, I did not have the Dianthony Road petition, but I had other petitions. I prayed for relief in the lawsuit indicating that the roads were county roads, that I had private prescriptive rights, RS 2477 rights, so threw everything but the kitchen sink at them. That lawsuit, even though it was recorded and obviously a cloud on the government's title, the Conservation Fund and the BLM went ahead and just closed the acquisition of the ranch in the middle of the lawsuit, which removed the lawsuit from state jurisdiction to federal jurisdiction. Rather than reapply to federal court, I started inquiring with BLM and trying to work with BLM over the years, but always contending, hey, this is a county road. They filed a right-of-way application in 2006. That application was denied. I got busy with some other things, put it on the back burner. I reapplied, I think it was in 2008, for a right-of-way. That right-of-way was denied. I appealed that right-of-way to the IBLA. There's currently an appeal in front of the Interior Board of Land Appeals in Arlington, Virginia, in regards to the question of whether or not the BLM properly denied my right-of-way claim. My argument to that is that, again, they're required to give me a federal right-of-way to an in-holding. They say that they're not. Lo and behold, during the transaction, they had contacted me and my family wanted to buy our parcel. They wanted to buy it for nickels and dimes, and we refused. Well, ever since that point, it's my record. The record clearly shows it's been a systematic effort between those two organizations to just continually deny us access. They even went as far as part of the transaction to place a deed restriction on the McMaster's deeds prohibiting the purchaser, which is the USA, Bureau of Land Management, to grant right-of-ways. Well, on the map, and you guys have all seen the maps, and you mentioned it the other day, I think that, and this is the government, they pull up a map and they're acquiring this whole ranch and they say, wait, what's this little speck up here in the corner? Well, that little speck was me and my family, and they didn't care, didn't address it one bit. They filed a certification of inspection and possession prior to closing the ranch, and on that certification, it mentions nothing about the lawsuit. It mentions nothing about our private property. In the lawsuit, I have an affidavit from Mr. Gates, the executive vice president, I believe, of the Conservation Fund for the Montana area. And in that affidavit, he states that the BLM is aware of Mr. Schmaus and this lawsuit, but yet a month later, they go ahead and close the transaction anyway. So my feeling of that is the government just wants me gone. Well, I ain't leaving. So
Was that a lawsuit involving this attempted road or a different road?
this particular road, yes, and we did not reapply to, again, we didn't fight the battle in federal court. Now with this information, as with the Black Friday Road, that was another county road in 2010 that led to some mining property. I was able to establish that Black Friday Road was a petitioned and adopted road, went to the Board of County Commissioners at the time. The county commissioners agreed and allowed me at that initial meeting to affect the road and grade it and make it passable for our mining operations. Dana was in contact with BLM, I was in contact with BLM. The moment they found out that the road was officially adopted and dedicated and everything was done, the BLM were no longer an obstacle. They never said any two words about it again. So that's where we're at with the Dianthony Road.
The question, in your research, does it tell this, what do you call it, Dianthony Road?
Yeah, it was
Does it tell about where it dropped down and crossed the river? From what my understanding, at one time there was a bridge across the Missouri down there.
Well, there were three ferries, 4 crossings, shallow crossings. A lot of people use the shallow crossing rather than pay for the ferry, you know, in those days. But the petition for the Dianthony Road specifically references a road from the Lewis and Clark County line, which is shown on that map. The Lewis and Clark County line splits Section 6. Section 1, where I'm at, is adjacent to Section 6. It specifically says a road from the Lewis and Clark County line and then a second road through the foothills, what I'm labeling as the Dianthony Road because he was the primary petitioner, taking off at the Dianthony resident. It mentions the Dianthony residence and it mentions the Hall residence that's shown on the map, and it says this road is going here, and lo and behold on that map there's a road showing going in that direction through the divide, which is the road that we've traveled on for, I don't know, it's been over 20 years since I first traveled on those roads back there. So there's a lot of roads back there too, and if you look at a wide sweeping petition, like the Loeffler petition, where questionable if those roads are even closed at this point, there's a lot of area for people to recreate back there, and they can do that recreation on county roads. Some people are against that. I'm kind of for that. I don't think that the government should have the authority to come in, and they don't. They most certainly don't, as you know, Corey. Definitely the legal precedence is that county roads stay no matter who owns the property. It's not typical government land. They took that land, fee simple title to that land, and again in their chain of title, county roads are specifically saved, reserved, and accepted from the transaction. So Anyway, so yeah, thank you, gentlemen. I guess I'm working with your county attorney?
Yeah.
Okay,
Should we set a date?
I'd love to.
Like, say a month? I know it seems like a long time for you, Joe, but Corey, with your workload, is a
Yeah, I would
month a
think that,
compromise for
Yeah,
you
and I
guys?
think even what you just told us in terms of all the litigation and all that, I'd like to look at all that too, because that's obviously that's gonna reveal a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's all recorded in your courthouse. I'm willing to employ my particular title agent in regards to a research where he will certify he's licensed and insured and bonded. I'll foot the bill on that, and I guess we could probably work with Corey. He's a title agent, more than capable of researching the abandonment on this road, and he could research that and then deliver his findings to your county attorney. That may free up some time with your office. Again, his research is insured, so somebody makes a stink, your butts are covered. I'm willing to do that. I can contact him today and put him on it. Would that be acceptable?
It would
Sounds
for
like a
me.
good idea too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Expedite.
Hmm. God, he does work for, what the heck is this? Mildred Land Services.
Oh, he's good, I know him.
Yeah.
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 And then what we can do, if you want, Joe, is if I may, Mr. Chairman, is schedule a month from now, but if you guys come back and say, you know, hey, we've got this figured out, we can move that up.
Yeah,
It gives us
that's
a day to
acceptable to
work
me, and I don't
for.
know what Nate's schedule is, but he's usually pretty good. He probably visits this county maybe once or twice a week already. Yeah, he can go ahead and do the search, and I will have him, I guess, recertify the documents that you have today in his report and include a search for an official abandonment, and then we'll just proceed from there. Okay,
So
perfect.
we're looking at probably February 26th.
Yeah, or sooner. If we get the information
Yeah.
back sooner, we'll just request a sooner date
Okay.
and try to put it to a vote
Yeah.
at that point. And I don't even know if it takes a vote, but I guess it just takes some reassurance that I'm not the only guy in the county that thinks this is a county road.
We should make it a matter of public record so that it's clear.
Yeah, perfect. I can understand the reasons why.
Everybody else wants to see, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And we just need 1 week's notice, Joe, so if you do discover that you can come see us sooner, just
Mhm.
give us a call on the Monday before, and we
Okay.
can get you on the agenda for
Yeah,
that.
and it'll be probably at the point in Corey's court, when we get the report to him, he reviews it, and then he'll contact me, I'm assuming, or maybe the board would schedule it, I don't know, we'll get it scheduled though.
I am out of
Sounds
town
good.
that day, the 26th of February. So we could do it the previous Monday or the following Monday.
Okay.
Either one's fine.
All right,
Yeah, or before, and I'll work around his schedule, obviously, 'cause, yeah, he needs to review the documents, so. All right, thank you. So can I get all the information that I provided you back?
Sure.
Put it in my pile, some of those documents might need to be actual certified
Mixed up, it'll
originals.
take you a while to get it straight back
Oh,
around.
it's been a,
this is
Quite the
fascinating though.
you know, it's a history lesson, let me
Yeah.
tell you. Again, the map, I don't know, that map shouldn't have been there.
Interesting, yeah.
Shouldn't have been there. Well, and I have the original, so I'm gonna bring them probably later this week. Certified. This is a color copy to record it. I'll have it recorded, everything recorded here. And then that way they can research the records that are here now and say, yes, this is adopted and all of that.
Here's my pile on there.
Oh, thank you. And then we have an insurance, yeah, an insured, I guess not transaction, but somebody that's willing to put his name on the line, or so can I. We'll cover your guys' butts, if there's a problem, so, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman in the back who has something else to present, so if you would call him before you call the call. I don't know.
So you want me to start with that?
to it.
What we need to do is.
Sure.
Sir, you have a COS for us to review.
Sorry for taking so much time. Thank you for
I'll have him get in touch.
Thanks for calling.
Between Brad Coppin and his wife, I'm using two different exemptions. The one for the main lot is using the exemption that it is greater than 20 acres or more, so it doesn't need to be reviewed by DEQ or subdivision. And then the family member transfer portion, which doesn't need to be reviewed for family member transfer due to the exemption for subdivision. And then I'm using the exemption for DEQ that there is no existing water or sewer to it, and then nothing will be constructed until it's been through DEQ review to the restrictions.
Nicole, can I ask you a question? So, can you describe what you're doing again? This,
So-
the big picture?
Normally, this is the original lot here overall, and then we're splitting off of this little tract here, 3.4 acres roughly. And he is giving that to his wife as a gift or a family member transfer.
Sure.
That's
Okay, so that's it. So as far as doing this as an exemption, you're not doing anything, you're just doing one family transfer there, correct?
correct.
Okay. I apologize, I misunderstood, so thanks for the clarification. I move to support the family transfer for the Commons.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the Cotton family land transfer. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, awesome. So do I need to have, how does this go forward? I can just print the Myers now and then have the county sign it, or do I need to have?
There's-
I'm with Nicole and make sure you.
Okay. All right, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm in a rush because I have to meet with our presenter for this housing needs assessment. We're supposed to meet at 11:30. So I'll wait for you if you want to jump into the next thing. I'm just gonna linger here until you tell me you're ready for more.
You're not, you're not ready to go?
That's what they're doing. Do you want to leave that with me?
I'm gonna put in Mylars, because I need to have the Brad sign it. So I'll have him sign everything, and then I'll just mail him here.
That's,
And then
yeah.
it sounded like.
Give me a call before you mail it. I'm gonna call all this.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know he's supposed to stop by.
Perfect. So give me a call before you go.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Adrian.
Okay, we're ready.
I'm gonna be quick.
All right.
This is the list of vacancies on the boards,
I see it.
along with folks who are interested. So the airport has one vacancy. Brian Carroll is interested. Trust board has 2 vacancies. Steve McCullough, Kim Martinson, and Al Christopherson are interested. Compensation, I have 4 vacancies, but I haven't received a response from anybody, essentially, from the compensation board. Tax appeal, I have 2 vacancies. Chris Wright and Jeff Joffrey are interested. Fair board, I have 2 vacancies. Val Hornsfeld is interested in one of them. Mosquito board, I have 3 vacancies. Philip Knob and Sue Hensley's terms expired. I have not heard from either of them. Joe Gill is interested in a position, as well as Ann Hall. So again, you have 3 vacancies, but 4 interested. Well, 2 interested, 2 unknown. Probably a better way of putting it. Museum, I have 6 vacancies. I have 6 interested individuals: Connie Schindel, John Stoner, Vic Sample, Paul Putz, Terry Love, and Matt Nelson. Weed board, I have 1 vacancy and 1 interest, John Ferret. Solid waste, I have 3 vacancies, 1 interest, Chris Asplund, and 2 who are, their terms expired, and I have not heard from them, Tom Austin and Don Reynolds. I also have space on there for the commissioners if you would like to go and pick your boards now, today, or if you want to wait on that. The line is there for you to fill in.
Since you're in a hurry, we'll, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have a, Al's letter and resume?
I do.
So in the interest of time, if I may just start at the top and go through the easy ones, I move we appoint Brian Carroll to a 3-year term on the airport board.
second on that?
I'll second.
Oh, is there a vote? I was reading that in here.
Motion to approve Brian Carroll for the airport.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Brian Carroll for the airport board. All in favor?
I
Aye.
move,
Motion carries.
I move we appoint Chris Wright and Jeff to each 2-year terms on the tax appeal board.
No second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve Chris Wright and Jeff Guthrie for the tax appeal board. All in favor?
I
Motion carries.
I move we appoint Val Hornsfeld to a 1-year initial term on the fair board.
And this, she actually, just to clarify, she filled out a term last year, so she could be eligible for a 2-year term, because
Oh.
she filled out a term. So-
I will amend my motion to a 2-year term.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Al Hornsfield to the fair board for a 2-year term. All in favor?
I
Aye. Motion carries.
move we appoint Joe Gill to a 2-year term and Ann Hall to a 1-year term on the mosquito board.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Joe Gill for a 2-year term and Anna Hall for a 1-year term for the mosquito board. All in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed, same.
move we appoint Connie Schindel to a 3-year term, John Stoner to a 3-year term, Vic Sample to a 2-year term, Paul Putz 3-year term, Terry Love 2-year term, Matt Nelson 2-year term to the Broadwater Museum board.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to approve Connie Schindel 3 years, John Stoner 3 years, Victor Sample 2 years, Paul Putz 3 years, Terry Love 2 years, Matt Nelson 2 years. All in favor?
I
Aye. Those opposed, same. None.
move to appoint John Fair to a 3-year term on the weed board.
I'll second it.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint John Fair 3 years on the weed board. All in favor?
I
Aye. Motion carries.
move to approve Chris Asplin to a 3-year term on the solid waste board.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve Chris Asplin for 3 years on the solid waste board. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And for the trust board, we have 3 applicants, 2 vacancies. And I love that Al Christofferson took the time and initiative to put together a letter of interest and a resume. I think the work he's already done with the silos is exceptional in putting together the work that we just did with BOR. So I would like for sure to appoint Al Christofferson to the trust board. So I move to appoint Al Christofferson to a 1-year term, initial term on the trust board.
Okay, and McCullough and Martinson.
Right, we will then have 2 for 1 position.
And this one here, I just looked at this letter from Virgil here. They wanted a trust board would like to have a non-voting member join the board. It's very valuable to pass game more community. Is that what they say would be then?
No, my motion is to actually put Al Christofferson on the board. Again, he put together a letter of interest, a resume. He's already been doing a lot of volunteer hours for our major recreation source of the county. This is the biggest show of interest that we have, so I would like to make sure that one of those seats goes to Al Christofferson based on this proactive approach.
Okay, but my question, Steve and Kim are still gonna be on.
Correct, I'd like to address them after we get this one taken care of.
Okay.
Again, just looking for simple first so we can expedite for Nicole.
Okay, I'll second.
Second.
Can I ask a question? Just so I know how to structure this. Is this for a voting position?
Correct.
Thank you.
So this is a 1-year position, so now we only have McCullough. We gotta go between McCullough and Martinson.
Correct,
One voting, one non-voting.
correct. So we should have a vote on the first motion and then move to the second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve Al Christofferson as a voting member on the Canyon Fair Trust Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I'm okay with, one thing is, I hate to knock out Kim and Steve. voting members, which they have been in there for, and I ain't going by this letter too, they get from Virgil.
And we have the letter from the Broadwater County Trust Board. The Broadwater Trust Board would like to approve your approval to extend Steve McCullough and Kim Martinson's term on the trust board for 2 years. They have provided expertise, insight, and creativity as board members. Both men would like to continue their involvement in improving recreational opportunities in Broadwater County with the trust board. The trust board would also like to have non-voting members join the board. This was very valuable in the past, and getting more community involvement is always a positive. If there are any questions, please call either myself or Debbie Randolph. Sincerely, Virgil Brinkley.
And I don't debate this at all. I think both Kim and Steve have been exceptional members. Steve met with me at the silos to look at the search and rescue storage option. Steve is my contact on the trust board. Every question I have, I go directly to Steve, and he's been exceptional. Kim, I like him a lot. He's a good guy. The only thing is do we always keep it the same year to year to year, or do we try and give other people with an interest an opportunity? And do we honor somebody who comes forward with this kind of expertise, history, and obvious interest, and try and bring that also into the trust board? So my recommendation would be Al and Steve, just again, based on Steve's interest. He's always the one that steps up to help out with the trust board. And then Al, and then ask Kim to still continue to serve, but as the non-voting member. This gives us an opportunity for some new blood, some new interests, some new thoughts, and also says to the public that we don't close the door on other interested folks for our boards. We're open to anyone who's interested, and if you're interested, give us the details of your expertise, and that's what we're gonna go with. Kind of gets away from, I don't know, leads us into a direction of going for the greatest expertise in our decision makers, even though this is an advisory board.
In fact, I'm happy with Al. I was just thinking on Kim and Steve being there, and they were ready to go again, as voting members, so. What's your, Mike, anything?
I have a
to add
question
to it,
for
or-
you, Franklin. What's the qualifications? Are you saying that the qualification above all else is that somebody is already on a board?
Well, it is to a certain extent. They've been there and they're ready to continue on, so that shows that they're interested in everything. And as far as Al, I know he's interested in everything. I just hate to kick those two off, or one of them off.
We're not kicking him off, we're just making him a non-voting member. So nobody's getting kicked off. But I stand by my arguments, whatever you guys wanna do. I think the message to the public is loud and clear either way. We either honor people who come with this kind of expertise and interest, or we don't.
So the motion in front of the board right now is simply to approve Al Christopherson for a 1-year term.
Based on his expertise and resume. And the time to put that together, that shows a lot of initiative.
All in favor for Al Christopherson for a 1-year term?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm not opposed, I just didn't get voted at it.
This is a motion to move Al Christopherson onto the Broadwater County Trust Board's been approved. So now we address the non-voting members.
I would move to appoint Steve McCullough as a voting member for a 3-year term.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve Steve McCullough as a voting member for a 3-year term, right? They said in the letter 2 years, but the term is for 3, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the motion is for a 3-year term. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same.
I would move to appoint Kim Martinson to a 3-year term as a non-voting member on the trust board.
I'll second the motion. Motion been made and second to approve Kim Bartz as for a 2-year non-voting member on the County Ferry Trust Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And then for the rest, I would like to request just to put another email out. I don't think we need another newspaper ad, but one of the listservs and maybe the website for those vacancies.
Certainly.
Philip has been instrumental with the mosquito board, so I will talk to him.
Okay. I think the reason that these folks haven't responded is my guess. We don't have a person in the office. I don't go to each of these individual members, mostly because I don't have access to, well, I can call them, but it should always come from the board manager. It shouldn't be me going out to them. And so I think with mosquito, I happened to catch Joe in the hallway and replied from one of the listserv ads. I haven't talked to Philip to say, hey, give me something that says you're interested, or Susan, the same thing. So I think that that's the reason why they've not responded, not because there's not interest, but because their board managers, as in the case of mosquito, they currently don't have a board manager, have not made that known to them.
Makes sense.
So I will try again with Brian Hone with Solid Waste for him to contact his people, these remaining 2, and say, give me something. I will also advertise on the listserv to see what I can get.
Perfect.
Compensation. Who's?
Yes,
Because isn't that your board?
It's not necessarily, but yeah, we can definitely take more of a hand in
Thank you.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not your board either,
It's not.
right?
I don't know who to go to for compensation. I was under the assumption that it was the commissioners that were managing that board.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will include it in the listserv. And some of these folks, I can just reach out individually then. Do you mind if I do that
Not at all,
on your behalf? Okay.
and we can too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Super.
hit them twice or 3
Great.
times.
Okay, that's all.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you. And
And everybody but me has the chance to appoint another person on that board.
Absolutely. Yep,
And some have and some haven't in years past, so.
yep,
We
absolutely.
just ask that they do go through Nicole and follow the process, because what's happened in the past is people just showed up, and it was a new person at every meeting saying, oh, well, I'm here to represent so-and-so. We had no idea who was officially on the board, we had no consistency. So what we decided 2 years ago, I think it was, is that they would still follow the process through Nicole, just so that it's everyone's informed as to who is with who.
I think it's better to do that, to get it proactively now, because usually it's the last 2 weeks before we're gonna meet, and everyone's going, oh man, I gotta find somebody. So,
Yeah,
but your 3 should be rotating, right? Every year you should have a new one on or reappointed.
our boards don't actually work on a yearly basis.
But on
We
that
have
one, it does by statute.
1 year.
No, it's when you initially appoint them, it's a 1, a 2, and a 3 year
Exactly.
limit. And then it's, the 1 expires, you can reappoint, or you can put a new person on. And it seems like 2015, for whatever reason, people weren't appointed, so you guys did 3 then. And I'm not sure if we've kept up with the rotation.
We have them staggered.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same process with all our boards, except for planning, which only allows a max of 2 years.
Correct. Okay, I have nothing on redistricting. I'm gonna run, and hopefully I will see you all at the Housing Needs Assessment Task Force meeting, back room in a minute, 1 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Looks like we're slightly behind.
Are we on the Commissioner District Boundary?
Yeah, I was just gonna cover, so Nicole and I met last week, and I have drafted the first part of so there were 2 issues we're dealing with on the commission redistricting. One is just correcting the boundaries for this year. The second one is the adjustment, it's not much, but it's a bit of an adjustment of the boundaries to take effect for the next election. So I've drafted the petition for the corrected, and I've drafted the county commissioner's resolution for that. There's some issues in it I discovered, and Nicole's gonna help me finalize that before we present that to you. what I've decided we need to do is probably also do an affidavit from Nicole to submit with that, with some of the factual background, because I'm listing factual stuff in there without really, anything backing that up. So we're working on that. What I'm getting from her then, for this to be complete, is finalize those documents and then get the map with the legal description of what we're saying the current boundaries would look like. That will be the one where there's the correction on the legal description. Now, I have the legal description that's corrected, I just don't have the map, so that one's nearly done. The second part is the 2020 redistricting, so I have the map, but we are still working for, the petition's a lot easier on that one, it's just an amendment. That petition's, in fact, what I'll do is pull part of this out of the first one to do that, so I can have that done pretty quickly. My question would be, do you know, did we have, what factual stuff, other than population numbers, do you think I should include in that, for that change of that boundary? It's mostly just right at Townsend, I think. Is there anything else, was any public input, or did we have, you know what I mean? Was there anything like that that you think came to you that I should put into as an attachment to this? Otherwise, what I'll do is do the numbers and a short affidavit from Nicole, and then we'll include that information in your resolution.
There were a couple of public meetings, there's not a public hearing, because it's not up to debate on where the numbers are, I mean, the numbers are solid.
Right.
But we did have a number of public meetings in which this was brought up and then, delayed, if you want those.
Was there like a formal public hearing specifically on just this?
Mhm.
There was?
There was at least 3.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so even I'll just pull those dates and the minutes if we need to, but I'll include that in that background. So who would know that, Nicole, I'm assuming?
Yeah, she might have, it was, it's a couple of years ago, I mean, it's in the agendas. But, yeah, Nicole might have notes.
All right, so I think we can have the first one done this week, and get that, and I'll notify the court that this is for this filing period, we need to do it right away. The second one, I don't know if any of the judges are gonna wanna actually, like, me address them in court on it, I'll find out. Otherwise, they'll just rotate and probably review it and sign it. So if they do, then we'll just schedule it someday on a Friday, and if I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened in the past. I'm assuming the judges just probably look at it and sign it and go, but I'll call Lewis and Clark County and see what they do on theirs. So if that happens, I might invite one of you to come, just address the judge on it, and, or all of you if you want to. But the change is very minor, so I don't expect it to be really an issue. But we're making progress. We're nearly done with the first one, and with the, I just decided kind of late in the process that I needed the affidavit because I was putting so much factual stuff in the court filing. When you do that, you're supposed to have a factual, you're supposed to have evidence of some kind from someone other than me that you supported. So that's why I decided I needed to do that. And then when I get her map, it'll be done. Okay?
Sounds good.
So I can give that to you. We're probably not on the agenda for next week yet, are we? Have you done the agenda for next Monday?
Well, the agenda hasn't been put in
Okay.
yet, so we can just put that on.
You can put this on the agenda for next Monday for the correction on the current boundaries.
Okay.
All right,
Good.
that's all I got. We are, actually, I'll tell you one other thing, we are meeting this week with several people on the White Horse Road issue and getting I'm expecting to get their documents at the meeting, so by the end of this week, I'll probably have a much bigger pile to deal with, but I think I'll know at that point if we have gaps in the record we need to define. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, Franklin Swiftco request for mileage payment. This is a claim for $151.40, 283 miles.
Yeah, that's from the 1st of October to the end of the year. 3 months. I never put any mileage down when I come to a regular, like, our Monday meetings, I never put mileage down. These are all, in fact, I just read off a few of the things that they are. Coming into evening for meetings, conservation, Board of Health always in the afternoons. Had one with the BOR, weed, LEPC, conservation. LEPC again, help with it, that's what those are. And like I say, I've never put down for a regular Monday meeting.
Just to help the silence, I'm not gonna make a motion. So if you guys wanna make a motion on paying that, go for it.
I'll make the motion to file to pay the claims.
It's all there, the way it is, so I'll second it.
Motion made, second to pay the claim for mileage for Commissioner Slifka. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
My dissenting comment is nobody else takes mileage. Our budget doesn't have the required 10% savings and goes against my oath of office.
What I want to add to it, and I said time after time, I've been harassed every time I turn in a claim. And I use this one for a reference from a Mako conference, and it was, I always pay for everything. When I go there, I pay for the registration, I pay for the room and everything, then later I do the bill and the mileage. And Obert says that I was double dipping the county on this registration. And I had all the receipts right there. Elaine agreed. She said, well, this is okay. Well, there's still some confusion from Obert, so I said to Elaine, I says, how about if I just bring my canceled check in? Well, should that be good? So I did the next time. Elaine approved everything. I got the check. Obert stopped payment on it, which she actually couldn't. I held it for about 6 months and I finally cashed it. But I'm harassed all the time. Keep harassing me, I'll just start putting in on these Monday meetings too. Anyway, that's just just one of the times, one of them. I could sit here and talk for a long time on it, but I'm not going
And just for the public record, everything Franklin has said is completely false.
Motion carries. I do have one other thing. I'm sure everybody got the email from Darby Dotzer. Do we just send that to the Department of Revenue?
Yes, well, yes. We're gonna get the same answer from them we always do. And that is, it doesn't matter that we made a mistake. If the county wants to pay these people, it's up to you guys. We have a policy that we adopted a year ago that says we'll go back a year just like Department of Revenue. So I think this is one of those where, yeah, we can definitely ask Department of Revenue, but I just don't think we can force them to correct their error. They're not gonna do it.
And she's only asking for the seniors discount on the taxes, right?
Correct.
But
For 3 years back.
since Myrna has passed away, she's paying the taxes. So,
Correct, which would apply when it becomes hers, I mean, upon Myrna's passing. Prior to that, those 3 years, my understanding is she was Myrna's power of attorney. So Myrna would still qualify for the senior discount.
so she'd get a discount for 1 year.
Right, we can refund that amount for 1 year, and then I think it's up to Department of Revenue if they're gonna refund
Which
beyond
would be
that.
2016 taxes, right?
Right.
Okay. So do we need to send a request to the Department of Revenue, or do we tell her?
I think we should send a letter to Department of Revenue letting them know of their error, letting them know that we would like to see them refund the difference. They're gonna come back and say, no, thank you. And then at that point, we need to have her information brought to a public meeting because it requires a commission vote in order to vote to refund that difference for the 1 year that we can go back.